welcome back. Today we are going to learn how to create a torn cloth material inside Zbrush, and also going to render them out into Keyshot to give your renders just an even better look. As you can see here, I have a Zbrush turntable of this cloth-like material. I did this one a couple weeks ago, and it turned out really well. It's kind of based on the same method I did a couple years ago using micromesh, but now we're just going to solely stay with nanomesh. I find it to be far more versatile and give a much better look, and so that's what we're going to work on today. I'm going to quickly touch base on how I made the cloak itself. I'm not going to go into detail. I'm just going to show you kind of a quick time lapse and kind of show you the quick key points on making it. That's not really what I really want anyone to concentrate on. Is a lot of you already know the process of making clothing and stuff like that for your characters, and we're just going to be using I ended up using the demo soldier that actually came with Zbrush, so it's going to be available for you. And so let's show you real quick some of the renders there. It's pretty much the same thing in the video, nothing too much different there. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we constructed the cloak real quick for you. Alright, so basically what I did is, well, it's not working for me. Hold on. Let me do this again. Screen capture is causing me issues. That's alright. I know a workaround. Okay. So basically, I opened it up, went into the tool palette inside the Spotlight interface. I guess it's Spotlight. I'm not sure what that interface is. But you grab your demo soldier, and what I ended up doing was deleting some of the extra stuff on him. So I went through, deleted the shoulder guards, the knee guards, the wristbands, the backpack, and I think, yeah, so basically I just kept the shirt, the goggles, and the vest. And if anyone can tell me why they didn't put pants on this guy, let me know. That's kind of interesting. I found that out. They didn't put any pants on him. So, continuing on there, I did ended up deleting their lower subdivision and giving them higher subdivision. It just kind of works out well when you're trying to do a transpose later. So, entirely up to you. You don't have to use this if you don't want to. Let's just kind of show you how I went about it. So, basically, got the main body, and that's what we're going to use to do our mesh extraction. So, all you have to do is mask them out where you want a mesh to be extracted from, and I just chose the torso, and then you'll see me highlight the head here. Be sure you watch out for any spots that you missed, because it won't create a mesh right there. So I did go back and highlight that, or at least I thought I did. You'll see here in a minute. And then I ended up in the subtool palette over here, there's an extract option, and I ended up going with, let me back it up, a 0.01 thickness. And then make sure, you hit extract, but it's just a preview, so then you have to accept it. And then it'll create an additional subtool. As you can see, extract 3 right there. And then it's just a matter of clearing the mask out and then cleaning up your mesh. All I'm interested in is this outer shell. I'm not worried about the inner and that edge. You just want to end up deleting those. And the trick of it is trying to isolate just the outer shell. Lots of times group by normals work. It didn't work in this case, so I had to isolate those edges. And as you can see, I missed a spot right there, so it created a nice little hole. But I can come back and clean that up here in a minute. But like I said, isolate the edges, so this way you can get the inner and outer shell, because you just want that outer shell. And I just used some Z-modeler tools to help me out to isolate those outer edges, or the edges. And then eventually you'll see that I just end up deleting it, and now I got got the part that I want, went over, closed up the hole, used the Z modeler, the convex hole, because we're gonna just go ahead and go to Zremesher, remesh him down. We don't need that much topology right now. So I got him like 10 or 1080 active points. And then what I did, and I had to bring solo off to see what I was doing, and just do a transpose edge loop complete on that bottom edge there. And as you can see, I pulled it down to make the robe longer, or cloak, or whatever it is, trench coat. It's entirely up to you. And then I went in and did a insert multiple edge loop, and I think I did a resolution of about 20, just to kind of add some topology there. Doesn't matter about the groups. And then we went up top, and what I did was I did an insert, did an edge loop there and an edge loop there, and you'll see why I did that here in a second. I isolated that outer edge, and then I think I ended up doing another transpose. And as you can see, I brought him out. Topology is a little wonky, that's fine, because everything is going to get Z-remeshed anyways. I think I ended up, I just wanted to keep these polygroups, keep it separated, the hood and the main torso separate, so this way I could do some folds and stuff like that using mask by polygroups. And I think here I did, I inserted some more topology in here. I think I also did it underneath. That's why there's so many edge loops in there, which is no big deal. We're just going to retopologize anyways. And then here, down the center of the cloak, I went ahead and inserted an edge and then deleted. And be careful on keeping those points too close together, because if you do a Z-remesh with symmetry, it'll weld that point back together. Just a FYI. And then I think it was just a matter of going through and adjusting the shape, inflating, move topology, just to build out the form. Nothing too fancy. Now I went up here, worked on the hood. Used a little bit of a polish there. Like I said, I'm not going to get into hyper detail on this. A lot of you have already done this. I'm just trying to show you how to make that cool torn edge and frayed edge, however you want to, whatever you want to call it, worn edge. So trying to get through this boring part quickly for you. And that was it. That was it. So I will make this cloak available for everybody, and he'll fit perfectly right over the demo soldier. So you can just follow right along, delete all the extra parts, and then put the cloak over them, or you can put your own character in them. So I'm going to make that available for you. It'll be in the description below. And so let's go ahead and go into ZBrush. So here we are in here. Quickly, I always like to change it to basic material. And then we got this up here, our little interface up here. So you can either load up the soldier and load up the tool, entirely up to you. I'm going to go ahead and close that. So I'm going to load up a tool that I already have. I've got it all set up nice and neat for me already. So we'll click and drag him onto the canvas. Like I said, this one is available to you. The cloak part, not the soldier. Soldier you already have in your computer. So I'm not sure how long they've had him in there. I think he's been in there at least 2 versions, I would think. I think it was about 2 versions they've had him in there, so he came in quite handy on this case. So we're on our cloak here, and let's go ahead and we need to retopologize this guy. So let me turn on polyfill here to see what it looks like. This is exactly the same one that I built earlier. Let's go down to our geometry. and we are going to do Zremesh. Alright, keep your turn your adaptive, make sure that's on, turn the size all the way down, and I'm going to change the target. Not yet. Actually, what we want to do first, we want to actually divide him up. I'm getting ahead of myself, guys. I want you to divide him up with a smooth on, get him up to about 156,000 active points. Okay, now we can go to our Zremesher. And before we do that, I'm jumping ahead. Sorry, kids. One thing that we do need to fix is this sharp point right here. Kind of makes it a little messy when it remeshes. So we're just going to relax the polys a little bit. See how that did. That did pretty good. I like that. This way it's not a sharp point anymore. It did make some jagged edges here. So we can go ahead and maybe do a smooth. I'm going to lower the subdivision just a little. This way smooth is more intense. And just clean it up just a little bit. Okay. I think we'll be okay. I'm going to raise my resolution back up to 156,000 active points. Go back in our geometry. And so target polygon count, I want 100,000, or 100 in this case. It's actually going to be 100,000. And adaptive size to 0. Keep your curve. That's fine at 50. And make sure you got your symmetry on. This tool's already got it on. If not, just hit X. That'll activate symmetry. And now hit Zremesh. Give it a second to work. And keep an eye on your active points up there, and you can see how much you end up getting. We want to stick around probably about 90 to 100,000 active points. Right now we're at 193. So, want to do just maybe another smooth operation. I might just do it by hand here. Might have to do slight relax. Kind of sharpen that point up there. Let's Control Z, Control Z, get it back to there. Let's do just maybe a 2 polish. That's not too bad. Let's see what this looks like when we Zremesh. Go back in your geometry. And let's go ahead and Zremesh again. Actually, you want to hit half this time, because I want to get that active points down there. Okay, so we got them down to 93,000 there. Let's see. Yeah, I told you that little point there was going to cause us a little bit of trouble. Just do like a 1 relax. Oh, no. 1 polish? Nope. Control Z, back up to that 193. Alright, let's smooth everybody out. Let's do a polish back to our original mesh here. Alright, let's see how we do. Alright, now let's do everything again. So, bring him up. Just go through all these little steps again. Sorry guys. That's the luxury of doing tutorials. They never quite work out the way you had done previously. But hopefully you learn from my mistakes, which is fine. I admit it, I make them. So we got to clean up that topology just a little bit. Looks like a broken edge there. Alright, do half again, Zremesh. Okay, I'm gonna just go ahead and live with that. You guys can definitely fiddle with that a little bit more later. But we've got our poly active points down to about 92,000. It's not looking too bad. It's the biggest thing with the adaptive, you want to keep that on 0, so this way just about every square in here is going to be identical. That's the trick to making this cloth work. So let's go ahead and load up a tool that I'm going to supply to you. It's going to be Demo Weave. Let's go ahead and frame him up. That's what he's going to look like. So go over to your brush menu. Go ahead, create Insert Mesh, New, and then create Nanomesh Brush. Click back to your soldier with his cloak on. And let's zoom in here so see what we're doing. It's automatically went over to the Z modeler to insert nanomesh option. Right click it and just click all polygons. And we want to click and drag that new brush onto there. Okay. Now we can open up our nanomesh panel and we can start playing with this. So I'm going to just take that Z rotate off of there. And let's start going through all our settings here. Now it's going to be slightly different for everybody depending on your poly count and stuff like that, but this will get you pretty close to where you need to be. So we want to do fit. I think that's constant height mode. And then let's start playing with some of these options. I'm going to take the placement off. I'm going to bring him up to about, I think I ended up doing about 1.42. Let's see how that looks. And we'll bring him back 1.3. Like I said, it's going to be a little different for everybody because your poly counts is always going to determine how that's going to work. Do your alignment, go to point order, and then we'll start tweaking some of these settings here. So on the width, we'll do a width, keep it at 1, vary it at 15, keep your length at 1, vary it 17. The height, let's go ahead and do, let's start with 2, see how that looks. Okay. Do a height variable about 72. It's going to add some more peaks and valleys in there, which is going to make it more interesting. This material is going to look a lot like a burlap sack, but it's all right. It's a cool look. I like it. So you can already see how it's looking already. Let me zoom out a little bit here. I mean, we've already got our basic material. Let me get him off of Z modeler brush there. There we go. Okay, so let's continue on here. We could probably put a little variation in the rotation, not much. On the Z rotation, just put a 3. And then a variable of 4. And it just adds a little variety, makes it look a little frayed, just a little bit. And then under your colorize, it's already set up black-white by default. Use UI color. Change your intensity to -0.52. And then adjust variations to 0.335. And that gives you just a slight color variation. I know, it just adds a lot to it, in my opinion. Alright, so let's move him back over. So now we've got our basic design of the material. So what we want to do is we want to give him kind of a worn edge type thing, as well as maybe we'll gouge out a couple holes here. So let's go ahead. I'm going to turn Nanomesh off real quick. Turn Polyfill off. Take your symmetry off by hitting X. And we'll reduce that draw size just a little bit. I'm just going to draw in, it's a little too big. Just some frayed areas here. So like here, you know, who knows, he got into a fight with someone, I'm not sure. Make a big hole over here. Alright, so go under, let's see what this looks like here. Go under your visibility, hit hide point, no, just Control Z back. Let's do masking, grow mask just a little, sharpen it. Let's go back to that visibility again, hide point. Okay, so do Control Shift and then drag outside your model. That reverses the selection. Gives you kind of idea what you're going to do. Go under your geometry and go under modify and then delete hidden. Okay, go ahead and clear that mask out. Okay, and if you want, you can take a look at it and you can bring your Nanomesh back on. It's still intact, no problems. It's just missing a few parts now. So let's go ahead and now we'll make all the frayed edges on here. So what you want to do, go under Subtool and go ahead and duplicate. And I'm just going to rename him real fast so I know who's who. And we'll just do edge. Okay. And I'm going to solo him out. And we'll go ahead and turn Nanomesh off for the moment so we can see what we're doing here. Go under your masking. Turn off groups, creases, and mask by feature. And just keep the border on. There you go. And grow the mask. Do it about 2 times. And now do that visibility trick again. Hide point. And then go to geometry. And delete hidden. Okay, we can unsolo him now. Go to Nanomesh again. Turn him back on. Now we're going to adjust our settings for the edge. So let's go ahead and first of all we're going to tile him 2 and 3 and probably bring that size down a little bit, probably down like 0.45. It's fine. And we're gonna we're gonna adjust our width a little bit. We're gonna take him up to, we'll just do 1.6. See how that's gonna end up looking. You're not seeing a whole lot of difference. Let me zoom in on one of these edges here so you can maybe start seeing some of this. Probably not gonna see it until I start modifying things. Change that width variable to 23. Let's see, the length, I think we'll keep him at 1. That's fine. We'll keep the height. That's what we want to mess with. Let's do 10. And change him to 100. Okay, still not seeing a whole lot of action. That's fine. That's fine. So we can actually see what he's doing here. We could probably what we'll do is maybe increase the size. I know what we need to do. We need to edit the mesh. Turn solo on so we just see that mesh. Frame him up, scale him out a little bit there. Close that panel. So we can see what we're doing. And click on your move topology. Drag him up a little bit here. And let me turn on polyfill so you can see all the individual threads. They've got their own poly group, which comes in handy, but move topology doesn't care about poly groups really. It just cares about, as you can see, they're all their individual mesh, and that's all it's concerned about. So we want to drag these out and just create like a little frayed edge pattern. Just pull out these threads to help us out, sell the edges. Scale out a little bit. Be sure you're randomizing things, don't keep everything the same length or going the same direction. We just need to create a little bit of chaos here. Turn them around. Try to make sure those edges don't get real thick. You want them to thin out, just like most threads would. They thin out on the edge there. Get that one purple one there. Drag him up. Alright. There we go. Let's see how we're looking now. Now we can start seeing them protrude a little bit there. I think what we need to do is actually raise that size up. Now we can see them starting to come off that edge. And then let's start change our random distribution here. I think bring him up to about 7 will work. 7, we'll just do 7.2 for the time being. And as you can see, quickly we've created this crazy looking little edge here. Well, you can randomize that a little bit more. You can throw in like a little more Z rotation there if you wanted. Change the variable a bit there so it gets a little more chaotic, which is great. I don't think length is going to help us out much. It's going to make the threads look a little thick, so I just keep them at 1. Maybe a little width kind of ends up looking like straw, so I really wouldn't mess with him too much. Keep him at the original. But quickly we have already got pretty cool looking little edge. So, but we're not done yet. What you could do now with that edge, let me change the size down. There we go. Take your snake hook and turn the alpha. Let's just do 07 alpha on that snake hook, so he's not dragging everything he touches. Let me lower that size there. And if you remember, when you use any sort of brush or anything, you're just affecting the placement geometry. You're not affecting the actual nanomesh itself. So you can just go in here and you can start manipulating everything. Just make sure you don't get too crazy with it. You might want to have a smaller size brush there and start pulling things out. Maybe a little larger brush there. Maybe even a larger brush, okay. Well, you can see how you can start bringing out some of these little edges here. You can start adding a lot of chaos to this. Oh, where did it go? There it is. So I'm not going to bore you with all me going in here real quick and just pulling things out. You know, if you go too far here, you can Actually smooth it a little bit. That'll help. Or sometimes just Control Z back. So, like I said, I'm not going to bore you. I'm going to pause this real quick, do some quick adjustments, and then I will show you how we're doing, okay? Hold on. Alright guys, I am back, and under 10 minutes I had, I could have gone on forever doing this, but with just quick 10-minute run here with that snake hook, I was able to just push and pull this stuff all around to give it this very gnarly edge, but it just looks so cool. Real quick note on that snake hook, actually when you're using the alpha, use alpha 8. It works a whole lot better. Let me show you. So it works a lot better than the alpha 7. I was using the wrong one, sorry guys. But it has a little more oomph behind it. As you can see, everything's dragging off, looking pretty cool. You can see how quickly you can just tear these edges up. And the cool thing about this is, it's all nanomesh. So I can go in here and I can hit random seed. And you can see I can get a little variety in there. I can adjust the scale, I can bring them down if I wanted, if it's too intense. It's very controllable and I love it. I'll bring that size back up, I like that size. Alright, so I'm not going to go crazy on tearing up all the edges on this thing. You're kind of getting the idea. So let's take it one step further though. Okay, let's get even more control over this. So go to your subtools on your edge one here. Go ahead and duplicate him. And we'll solo him out. And select your select lasso tool. And it didn't give me that highlight, but just click skip and you'll be okay. So quickly I want to get, since I'm just going to kind of concentrate on the head and torso area, so I'm just going to select that, go under my geometry, and let's go ahead and modify. Where is he at? I'm under modify. There it is. Delete hidden. Alright, now we've gotten rid of all the extra polygons in there. Let's go ahead and do Control Shift Alt and then start just whittling some of this out. We don't want a whole lot. Just some areas that we want to highlight. Because what we're going to actually do is we're going to take the nanomesh and we are going to do a one-to-mesh and actually have those actual weave patterns in there, and we'll start playing with them. So, and all I'm doing is just kind of keeping an eye up here. I don't really want any more than like 500,000 vertices going on. So I'm just going to get it down to about that point, and then I'll do my one-to-mesh. So that's good enough for me. And we need to delete hidden again. Go to your nanomesh real quick. Just do a random seed. Just kind of change it up a little bit. So it's not identical when we do this. Go to your inventory. Do one-to-mesh. Okay. Now they're all solid meshes. So it created a new subtool. Now it's edge 1. And we can unsolo that. And you can see where they are located. So now we can go in and we can start moving everything else around. So if you go under, haven't quite yet found the perfect tool for this. Let me just see if snake hook does good. Problem with snake hook, it takes the whole thing. And I think my groom lengthen, I believe, is a good one. You can keep that on if you want. You can keep the polyfill on if you want, just so you can see where they are, which kind of helps. And you can just, which it does get a little hairy trying to figure out where they are. And you can add a little variety, maybe some swaying in the wind, whatever you want to do. I think I had some up here that we can play with. Here. And we can push and pull around a little bit. You kind of get the idea of where I'm going. So I'm not going to play with this all night long. I know you're probably getting bored. So let's go ahead and we're going to do just a quick test render inside here. Like I said, we're just going to concentrate on the head and torso here, really. So go under your renderer and do change your BPR shadow. Change that angle to about 30. Get down to blur. Do 4. And we close that panel up. And then just do a quick BPR. This doesn't have any ambient occlusion or anything. It's just the basic material, but it'll give you a good sense of what it's going to look like. And there you go. I mean, it looks pretty good just inside ZBrush. I mean, I like it. I don't know about you, but it was quick, it's easy, and it's very flexible. And if you wanted, show you another little trick here. You can still use your tool, some of your other plugins. Let me see if I can do this without everybody crashing or having issues. So go into your Z plugins, which is right here, but I got them docked over here. We're going to go to the transpose master, create a T-pose mesh, and it's going to take everything down to their lowest subdivision. And it's even going to copy over the ones with the Nanomesh on there. Currently, it doesn't have them on there. The only thing that followed along was the actual ones that are actual true geometry. But that's just fine. We want them to follow along too. So if you want, you can do, we'll go ahead and do Control, hold it down, go to your stroke, go to lasso, and now your mask will have the lasso capability, just like select lasso. I'm going to turn X on. This way I can get this whole head here. I'm just going to do a quick, simple head turn. Click outside with the mask and it'll invert it. Let's see, I need to fix this. Okay, blur the mask just a little bit more. And now go to your rotate. And we could just draw him on there if we wanted. Actually, if you just hit that little white spot there, turn X off. Yeah, that didn't work out. Let's just see if we can get dead center to the head here. Hold down Shift, it'll constrain it up and down. We just need to slide him over to about, actually let's do it like this. I'm not the best with transpose, sorry guys. Let's just go back to the center again. There we go. And we'll just move him about dead center there. That'll work. And if you just want to do a basic head turn, hold in the center here and then shift up or down. And as you can see, everything is moving with us, which is what we want. We can take the mask off, go back to draw, size him up just a little bit. We can do a little bit of smooth here on the back where it distorted a little bit, which is fine. Let me smooth that out. Careful when you're smoothing around here, because you got a couple layers of geometry going on, and one's going to smooth a little bit more than others, and you definitely don't want to hit those threads. Alright, so I did just a basic head turn, not a big deal. So now you can just hit T-pose, sub-T, and then watch the magic happen. And there you go. We've now posed our character. Nothing too fancy here. You know, you can do all your posing prior to even making the fiber or whatever you want to call it, the cloth, or you could do it afterwards, so you're not limited. Not too bad. Looks like a little something came through here. I'm not sure what that is. Just pull him back down out of the way. So now let's take a look. I'll show you how to quickly set up a render inside Keyshot, how you can make that material pop even more. So go into your render, click on Keyshot, and do a BPR again. And I'll be back here in just a minute when it's ready, okay? Alright, we are back. We are inside Keyshot now. Everything is transferred over perfectly. Let me take a little tour here. There we go. Be a little sluggish here, not too bad. Zoom in here, see all our little effort we put into this guy. Looking pretty good. I mean, even with just basic material, looks really good. So, I mean, you can render them out just like that if you wanted. Well, I'm going to show you how to give that cloth a little more pop there. Let's open up our scene here. And let's take a look at everything. So, what I want to isolate is the edges and the cloak itself. Okay, so remember we've got two edges going, and then we got the cloak, and we just want to link those materials together, so we're only editing one material, and then double click on our cloak, and let's go to, we want to blend the color, and if you click on that, on the color itself, go to your RGB settings. We're going to do a kind of a brown cloak, and I'll give you all the math here for it. So your red needs to be 42, your green needs to be 24, and your blue needs to be 8, then click OK. Alright, so now we got our basic brown color. Go under your textures, and we need to adjust the brightness. We want to bump him up to 3.75. Take your contrast up to 2. Alright, so we want to add a bit of a bump to it. Let's go back up to our bump. Click on it. Don't click on the X there, on the little check mark there. We want to open up the bump, pull up leather, and under scale, I want you to do 0.5. I want you to do a bump height, highlight that whole thing there, and do a 2. And that'll kind of darken him up there. And that'll add a lot of contrast to everything. I mean, right now we look pretty good, but now we want to play with those edges. So we got the basic material for everybody, but I want those edges to be a little more feathery, I guess you would say it. I don't know. So what you want to do, go back to your scene real quick. We want to highlight just the edges this time, not the cloak itself. Unlink the material, and then link again. So now just the edge are going to use the same material. So let's double click on just the edge, and all we're changing is we're going to add an opacity map. This is probably not the best way to do it, but it's actually worked out pretty well for me. So go to under the opacity on the texture type, we're going to do cellular. I know I didn't say that right, forgive me. And let's go ahead and change some of the attributes. We want to do a scale of 0.15. Change your contrast to 2.5. You can leave the shape the same. Levels 2. Oop, 2, there we go. And then go down to noise. Add a noise of 0.75. And it made it a lot more, I don't know, thready. I don't know what the word, softer. There we go, softer. It made the edges a lot softer. So if you want those nice soft edges, you can plug that opacity in there, or you could just turn it right back off, and it's just like the previous one. So it all depends on what you want to do, what looks good for your scene. I recommend keeping the opacity off until you have your whole scene set up. And then turn it back on. It will bog down your renderer just a little bit. But you can see it adds quite a bit to it. I like it, so it all depends on the look you're looking for. So you can just go in here, go under translucent. We can slap a skin shade, human skin 2. May want to tweak it a little bit. You can also go under plastic, go down to, I think it did soft shiny black, put that on his goggles. You can even do cloth leather, you can do dark red leather for the vest or whatever that is right there, and then render them out. So, I mean, it's pretty, you do this once or twice, it's going to go pretty fast for you. It's highly editable, so as you can see, you can do the transpose with it. It's just pretty cool, quick technique for you to add a little more depth to your clothing and stuff like that. Obviously, this is more of a ragged type cloak, so it might not be the look you're looking for, but it gives you a starting point to get you going. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Definitely let me know how it worked out for you. Feel free to post it on my page on Zbrush Central. Get a hold of me on YouTube, Zbrush Central, Facebook, Google+. I'm all over the place, so definitely hit me up. Tell me what you thought. Give me some ideas or something. Some suggestions. I'm open to criticism as long as it's, don't beat me with a baseball bat, okay? And you guys have fun doing this, and we will talk to you next time, okay?